The refrigerator your grandmother bought in 1972 is probably still running. A 40-year-old Frigidaire is quietly humming along in some garage or basement right now, keeping food cold, outlasting cars, outlasting careers. Meanwhile, the Samsung you bought 3 years ago just flashed an error code, and the technician told you it would cost more to fix than to replace. This is not bad luck. This is not a coincidence. This is the result of a deliberate, systematic campaign to turn every major appliance in your home from something you own into something you rent. In this investigation, we are going to expose exactly how the appliance industry destroyed the most durable consumer products ever built, name the specific companies responsible, and reveal a piece of physical evidence so damning that it was molded directly into the machine and then sealed shut. Here's exactly how they made your own washing machine illegal to fix. There is a washing machine sitting in a warehouse in Europe that looks completely normal from the outside. Remove the outer casing and examine the plastic drum housing, and you will find something that should not exist. Bolt holes. Several of them, perfectly machined and spaced, positioned exactly where a technician would insert screws to split the drum open and replace the bearings inside, a job that costs roughly $200 in parts and labor. Those bolt holes are permanently sealed shut. The company designed repairability directly into the engineering drawing. They built the tooling, they pressed the mold. They could have shipped a machine where the bearings were accessible to any competent repair person. Instead, they closed those holes permanently, which means when the bearings fail, you cannot open the drum, you cannot replace the part, and that $200 repair becomes a $600 sealed unit replacement or a trip to the store for a new machine entirely. The brands doing this are not obscure overseas suppliers. They are Bosch, Electrolux, Indesit, even Miele on certain models. When a veteran repair expert discovered those sealed holes, he called them exactly what they are: evidence of repair that was deliberately engineered out of the product. But the sealed drum is only one piece of a much larger system. By the time this investigation is over, you will understand the three forces that dismantled appliance durability over a 15-year window, how two of the world's biggest appliance companies became the subjects of repeated federal class actions over the same documented failures, and why your refrigerator is currently transmitting data to a corporate server while you sleep. The sealed bolt holes are the confession. Here is the full crime scene. In the 1970s, the average American refrigerator lasted 30 years. Washing machines ran for nearly 20. These were not complex machines. They used electromechanical timers, copper motor windings, bolted steel frames, and screwed-on door seals. When something broke, a local repair shop could fix it in an afternoon for $20. A veteran repair technician once wrote that across 10 years of daily service calls, he could count on one hand the number of mechanical timers he had ever replaced. They simply kept working. Then three things happened in a 15-year window between 1990 and 2005, and they dismantled everything. First came offshoring. In the year 2000, Chinese factory workers earned roughly 50 cents an hour. Appliance companies ran the numbers and began gutting engineering standards to hit lower price points. Copper motor windings became aluminum, which conducts less efficiently and fails far sooner. Steel structural components became injection molded plastic. Door seals that were once screwed in place and easily replaced were glued on, guaranteed to warp within a few years. The machines looked identical on the outside. Inside, the longevity had been removed and replaced with cost savings. Second came consolidation. Whirlpool acquired Maytag in 2006. GE Appliances was sold to China's Haier for $5.6 billion. Today, 5 conglomerates control the vast majority of the American appliance market. When you buy a Kenmore, a Frigidaire, a Maytag, or a GE, you are frequently buying from the same handful of parent companies. Competition disappeared. And when competition disappears, the incentive to build something durable disappears with it. Third came the control board. The old mechanical timers on washing machines and dryers were robust, repairable, and cheap to replace. Electronic control boards are none of those things. A board replacement on a mid-range washer runs between $350 and $550 in parts and labor. Industry wisdom says never spend more than 50% of an appliance's value on a single repair. A control board failure triggers that threshold on most machines under 5 years old. The appliance is 2 years old, the board dies, you do the math and you buy a new one. That is not engineering. That is a business model with a built-in expiration date. By 2020, mechanical timer washing machines had been eliminated from the American market entirely, with energy efficiency regulations cited as justification. The last analog escape hatch was sealed, and with the hardware locked down, the industry turned its attention to something even harder to fight: software, documentation, and parts access. The repair documentation lockout is something most consumers never encounter until the moment something breaks. iFixit US, PIRG, and Repair.org ran a joint investigation surveying 50 appliance makers and 37 professional repair technicians. Nearly 9 out of 10 manufacturers refuse to share service manuals, even with licensed professionals, not with you as a homeowner, not even with the trained technician who runs an independent shop. Samsung and LG were identified as the worst offenders by investigators and confirmed as worst by repair professionals. Both companies restrict all technical training exclusively to their own dealer networks. Independent shops are locked out completely. One repair business in Northeast Ohio reported fielding 20 to 30 calls a day from customers who simply could not find anyone willing to work on their machine. The service information that would allow a competent repair does not officially exist outside those companies' own authorized networks, and the parts pricing makes that lockout look almost reasonable by comparison. A standard 25 amp fuse, the kind available at any electronic supplier for $1.40, costs $67 when it carries a Whirlpool part number. That is a 4,785% markup on a commodity component. Simple oven light switches run $17 from the manufacturer versus a bag of 20 equivalent switches on Amazon for $7 total. These are not precision-engineered safety components. They are mass-produced commodity parts with a brand name stamped on them and a lock preventing you from using the identical one that costs a fraction of the price. The lawsuit record tells you what internal documents never will. LG spent years marketing its linear compressor with the promise of 20-year durability, backed by a 10-year warranty. In courtrooms, that promise collapsed. LG has settled at least 3 separate class action lawsuits over premature compressor failures. The original settlement in 2020 covered 1.6 million refrigerators manufactured between 2014 and 2017. In November of 2024, over 40 new plaintiffs filed yet another federal lawsuit targeting every LG refrigerator manufactured since January of 2018, priced between $1,818 and $7,500. The attorney argued the machine's actual lifespan was nowhere near 10 years, let alone the 20 LG advertised to sell them. Samsung's ice maker story is equally documented. Over 600 consumer complaints were filed with the Consumer Product Safety Commission between 2019 and 2021, including reports of food poisoning, spoiled medications, and lost breast milk. Samsung had issued an internal technical service bulletin acknowledging the ice maker failures in July of 2015. No recall was ever issued. A new class action followed in May of 2024, alleging Samsung systematically denied warranty claims rather than acknowledge a known defect. The pattern across both companies is identical. Identify the problem internally, deny it publicly, and wait for the warranty clock to run out. But here is where broken appliances become something more dangerous, because while you were dealing with the repair bills, the Smart Appliance Push introduced an entirely different kind of extraction. Consumer Reports tested smart appliances from GE, LG, Samsung, Maytag, and Whirlpool. Every single one was transmitting between 3.4 and 19 megabytes of data per week back to the company with only once daily use. 19 megabytes per week is the equivalent of roughly 135,000 text messages leaving your kitchen every 7 days. GE's Smart HQ policy discloses that it collects GPS coordinates, electricity and water usage, and footage from internal cameras that may capture images of individuals and personal belongings inside your home. Whirlpool uses that data to deliver targeted advertising. Your appliance is not malfunctioning when it sends this data. That is exactly what it was designed to do. The preview of where this ends already exists. In 2016, Google disabled every Revolve Smart Home hub overnight through a single software update. No hardware failure, No safety issue. The devices simply stopped working because the company decided they should. One owner wrote that his house would stop working on May 15th. The best case promise from major appliance companies today is software support for 5 years from launch or 2 years from purchase. Americans expect large appliances to last 10 years. That gap is not an oversight. It is a subscription model waiting to be activated. Europe looked at this system and decided it was unacceptable. The European Parliament passed the Right to Repair Directive in June of 2024 with 584 votes in favor and 3 against. Manufacturers selling into Europe must now supply spare parts for washing machines and dishwashers for up to 10 years, make those parts deliverable within 15 working days, and ensure all repairs can be completed with standard non-proprietary tools. France moved even earlier. In 2015, it became the first country in the world to criminalize planned obsolescence, with penalties reaching 300,000 euros and 2 years in prison. France introduced a government-funded repairability score displayed at the point of sale on every appliance, and a subsidy program covering repair costs across 73 product categories. The contrast with American policy is not a regulatory nuance. It is a deliberate choice about whose interests the law is written to protect. Inside the United States, a legislative counter-movement has taken hold. Oregon became the first state to ban parts pairing, the practice of digitally rejecting replacement components unless validated by manufacturer software. Colorado passed what consumer advocates call the broadest repair rights in the nation, effective January of 2026. Minnesota, California, and Connecticut followed with their own laws. 30 states introduced right-to-repair legislation in 2024 alone, and the Association of Home Appliance Manufacturers spent $1.5 million on federal lobbying that year trying to stop them. Consumers are not waiting. The global repair cafe movement has grown to 3,800 locations across 40 countries, performing 190,000 successful repairs per year. In 2023, those cafes diverted over 1.4 million pounds of broken appliances from landfills. Some locations now operate three-dimensional printers to manufacture discontinued parts that companies stopped supplying. Returning machines to service the manufacturer had officially declared dead. Speed Queen still tests its machines to 10,400 cycles, simulating 25 years of use. Miele still builds washers that independent studies show last up to 45% longer than the industry average. The 1970s KitchenAid stand mixer, the original models built by the Hobart Corporation, now sells for over $1,200 on the secondary market, nearly 10 times its original retail price. People are paying a premium for a guarantee that something was built to outlast the warranty. The knowledge of how to build something durable has not disappeared. The decision to do so has. And the cost of that decision extends far beyond any individual repair bill. Globally, 62 million tons of e-waste were generated in 2022. Roughly 60% of it came from large household appliances. Only 22.3% was properly recycled. The materials embedded in that single year's waste were valued at $91 billion, including $19 billion in copper and $15 billion in gold, nearly all of it simply buried. E-waste makes up only 2 to 3% of total landfill volume, but accounts for 70% of its toxic content, releasing lead, mercury, and cadmium into soil and groundwater for decades. The appliance industry found a way to externalize those costs entirely onto consumers, communities, and the environment, while the replacement revenue lands on their quarterly earnings report. That is the story behind the refrigerator in your grandmother's garage that is still running. It was not built better by accident. It was built in an era before offshoring gutted the materials, before consolidation eliminated the competition that would have punished poor quality, and before software gave companies the ability to make a perfectly functional machine refuse to work. That 40-year-old Frigidaire is a record of what was possible when the incentive was to build something that would last. The sealed bolt holes are a record of what happens when the incentive is to build something that will not. So what do you do with this? You have 3 options. First, support right-to-repair legislation in your state. Find the bill. Contact your representative. The industry is spending millions to stop these laws because they know the laws work. Second, research before you buy. Speed Queen and Miele build machines engineered to outlast their warranties. Samsung and LG have court records that are publicly searchable. Third, find your local repair cafe or independent technician. Every appliance that gets fixed instead of replaced is a direct financial vote against a business model that turned your home into a subscription service. The industry is counting on you to feel overwhelmed and hand over your credit card. That refrigerator still running in your grandmother's garage proves you do not have to. If this investigation changed how you see the appliances in your home, hit subscribe for more stories they would prefer you never hear.